Good evening, and thank you for joining us. It has been about 3 months since we made the personally heartbreaking decision to cancel the in-person National Rabbit and Cavy Convention and Show this year. But our committee quickly picked up the pieces and started working on a virtual exposition worthy of a national event. Tonight, we are pleased to share what we have been working on with all of you. Our goals are twofold. We want to be able to put on a wonderful event for our fellow rabbit and cavy hobbyists, something worthy of being called a national event. We also wanted to raise money to first help us reclaim money already spent on our event to allow our group to bid for future conventions and help groups who may be losing money because of the cancellation, if possible. But before we get to the unveiling, I wanted to share some other behind-the-scenes information with all of you. Some people may not realize that when an exhibitor enters an official ARBA convention, their entry fee does not cover the cost of awards. These have been supplied by the ARBA. With the cancellation, we are now trying to figure out a way to cover the cost of awards, which will include shipping. Our awards this year may look different than what someone may have won at an ARBA convention in the past, but we are working on something unique that will be cost-effective to ship. Our catalogs have been shipped, and by visiting our website, you can purchase a digital copy. We also have a very limited amount of hard copies available for purchase. Now for the reason we are all here. I am pleased to introduce some familiar faces, Kevin Whaley and Alan Messick, and a new friend, Jeff Maynard, from Virtual Livestock Shows. Thank you guys for joining us. Kevin and ShowPro is a staple of ARBA conventions. Now I'm going to turn it over to Kevin and his team.
Thank you, Ruth Ann, and thank you for everyone that's watching. Just as a brief introduction, ShowPro, well, about myself, I'm Kevin Whaley, and I have run for about the last 20 years the ShowPro online website that has allowed people to enter into the traditional ARBA convention. So it's 2020, things are different, it's a COVID year, and things have to be done different. So what we've worked on here in the last several months is to tailor our system to provide an ARBA convention from a distance. So yes, it's a virtual show, but wait, there's more. We partnered with Alan Messick and with Jeff Maynard at Virtual Shows, and altogether what we're proposing, or what we're going to deliver, is a online virtual type of show that uses new technologies that will make it a multi-dynamic, multi-dimensional experience. So no, it's not going to be the same thing as being able to put your hands on a rabbit, but it's going to be the next best thing under the circumstances. And we all have to think about, what do we do to enjoy our rabbit hobby and put on a show using the technologies that we have available? So I'm going to show you my screen here for a minute, which is how we typically enter an ARBA convention. And so most folks would come and log in to the screen. Those that have entered before, there's about 5,000 people that are in our system. And let's just see here if it's going to let me do it. Let me just see here. And anyway, so this is a familiar scene that anyone has seen. You log into your account, and then you're going to be able to enter your animals with the same way you always have. So you're going to have the breed, variety, class, and the show. So whether it's in open or youth, or in cavies or rabbits. And so once you enter the show with your showroom class, then we're going to bring it to another level. And what's going to happen is you'll be able to come back into your account like you always have, and like you were able to make changes to the ear number or the breed or the variety. And what you're going to be able to do, though, is to upload a video entry. And so this is where we're going into new territory, because this has never been done before at an ARBA show, but we're going to do it. And what you'll see with this three-dimensional world of video is that you're going to be able to see a lot more than a static picture. You're going to be able to present your animal more. So what I'm going to do is, Jeff Maynard is our video expert with his virtual show platform. This is nothing new. He comes into it with lots of experience, So I'm going to let Jeff give us a little glimpse into what that's about.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having us here today. We greatly appreciate it. And I'm very fortunate to have been able to team up with both Kevin and also Alan. I am the owner of Virtual Stock Show, and we create a virtual experience for livestock shows across the United States. Since March, we have had thousands of entries and exhibitors, and I would say tens of thousands and hundreds of shows across the United States have used our platform. And we've had hundreds of judges use our platform as well. It is a virtual platform that allows for exhibitors to be able to upload a video of their entry and to be able to have it judged in a virtual atmosphere. Alan has actually used our platform as a judge, and he is going to walk us through that process here in just a moment, and we will do a screen share with you. But just a couple of things about our system that we would like to share with each of you. First and foremost, our system allows for 5 gigs and 70 different file types to be uploaded into the system. So it doesn't matter if you're using an Android or an Apple phone, or if you're shooting your video of your animal on a standalone camera and then you're going to take it onto your computer, our system will allow you to upload that data into the system for your individual entry. And again, over 70 different file types, up to 5 gigs. Those are very large video files. And what that allows us to do is to get a very crisp and clean and clear video of your rabbit whenever you enter it into the show, for the judges to be able to evaluate them accordingly. In addition, we will be submitting and be able to show some sample videos for the different breeds that are going to be represented and available for you to be able to upload. And we will show you a sample of what we're looking for. There will be directions similar to what you're seeing on the screen right now. If you're going to use a phone, we highly recommend that you shoot in the horizontal position when you're shooting your video, etc. And we're very excited to be able to team up with ShowPro and be able to provide this for the show this year. Alan, like I said before, has been instrumental in our success in guiding us to be able to bring this platform to life for the rabbit show industry. And Alan, I'm going to turn it over to you, and then we can walk through the judging portal, and you can discuss some of the ins and outs of that. And also your experience using the platform, I think, would be beneficial as well.
That sounds great, Jeff. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in tonight. I first want to give a shout out to anyone that's opened their mind to this watching tonight. And whether you're a fan of virtual shows or not, or somewhere in the middle, I hope that by the end of this broadcast with the Marks team, that you're a little more confident about where virtual shows can go. And particularly this one, I was not a big fan of virtual showing before Jeff and Kevin and I collaborated. And I got to tell you, this program is, from either an exhibitor or a judge, a fantastic program, and one that I can walk away from as a judge feeling that I've done the most accurate job I possibly could from a virtual setting. And some of the things that Kevin went over in terms of ShowPro, if you look at that, I mean, that's just how we've been entering for 20 years. So the Marks team and our team have collaborated to try to make an experience that was as close to normal and as close to a normal ARBA convention as possible. Of course, without being there, despite this awful situation we're all in. So if we can restore some normalcy to our community, to our industry, I think that this platform is certainly the best way we're going to do it. So, Jeff, you want to roll with that first class? We've got, for example, 4 rabbits up there. So this, if you're watching, is really going to pertain to the judging side of things. So if you're a judge that's hired to judge this virtual show coming up, say you've got a class of 4. It's a simple class that you can see here on the screen. By the way, you could have a class of 150 and it would still look the same. So you're looking at one screen with a video to represent each rabbit. And I'm going over, as I'm watching this video, I'm watching one mini satin white senior doe being posed and looked at from all angles. And these angles and these kind of motions are spelled out in a how-to video for exhibitors, so that there's a template for exactly how to go about making these videos, so that they're not only more accurate, but so that there's some consistency and maybe a neutral beginning just like posing and handling should all be the same, regardless of how great the rabbit ends up being. But it gives them that first start. It gives them the level playing field to be properly evaluated. So in this mini satin class, for example, I've gone over, or we're looking at a body, now checking out the fur. And you can see it gets pretty close. These videos are not very long, but from a profile side, front end, rear, and then over the top, and even a chance to look at some fur in a breed that you would just want to reach through the screen and use your hands to do so. You kind of can do so quite well from here. Anyone that's been looking at mini satins for a long time, you don't always have to judge texture with your hands. A lot can be done with your eyes, and some of that's demonstrated here in these videos. But back to this class of 4 white senior does in the mini satin class. They're all up there in front of you. One of the really cool things I found while I was judging recently for a fair in Indiana was that I could play all of the videos, every rabbit in that class, at the same time. So it's just like standing at your judging table at a rabbit show and being able to have multiple rabbits on the table at one time and stepping back and almost getting a better bird's eye view of the class. So I'm not saying that it's better than being there in person. I'm certainly not an in-person kind of judge, but this allows us to do some things that the platforms that we have experienced throughout this spring and summer on Facebook haven't been able to do. So, and I've judged some of those, and it's cumbersome, it's clunky, and you walk away going, what the heck did I just do? This, I walked away feeling like, I didn't get my hands on them, but I felt really good about where I lined them up. Now, Jeff, maybe you can for us demonstrate the matter of placing that class, and that's as simple as grabbing onto one of those videos and sliding it into the very first slot. And there's your first place right there. And then say second is really more like a third place. You slide it on there, and first remains first. And then, going through them again, maybe play the videos again. And okay, I'm cool with that class. Like, that's how I feel it should be played. So we've got 1 or first place on the far left, second place, third place, and then finally 4th on the far right. So it's as simple as dragging.
Even though we have this virtual environment that some people may not, everyone would agree it's not as good as the real thing, but there's some benefits like this, the judging, that is really cool. So, I'm just saying that I think that's excellent, Alan.
Yeah, it's really cool. I love the fact that you can play multiple videos at one time. And I'm going to emphasize again, this is a class of 4. But if you've been to an ARBA convention, there could be 150 solid junior does in the open hall lab class. This program will actually be able to handle that. And as a judge, whoever's doing that class will have all of those images and all those videos, not images, but videos on their screen at one time, so they can go through them one by one and then drag them, and it's smooth, I have to say. And then one last really cool thing about this platform is that the judge is allowed to then type some comments, and you can see here we're just typing in some body comments on head, whatever is applicable to that breed, but the exhibitor is going to get comments at the end, just like a comment card, maybe if not more in detail. So there's some great way to give feedback to exhibitors from the judges, and great way for judges to explain their reasons without orally being there in person. So it's pretty cool.
A couple of things just to highlight as well, Alan, is number one, if there's anyone that's watching today that has been involved in a livestock judging program of any type, you'll know that livestock judging kids across the United States at both the high school and collegiate level are trained using video a lot of times. And so we found that there were a lot of people that thought, well, we aren't sure if this will work in a livestock environment when we started this program and built it. And I will tell you that it's been overwhelming, the amount of judges that have come back and said, wow, this was actually really, really easy to use. It's simple. And we were able to evaluate the animals effectively. And we did an entire series that had 15 different shows affiliated with it. And those animals went on to also show into a live atmosphere following that virtual show. And it is incredible to see the number of judges that judge in that platform, and then also in the live environment. And the animals that consistently were at the top continue to be at the top, not during each and every one of the virtual shows, with different judges judging each week. And then when they went into the live atmosphere, it stayed the same. So it can be done. Obviously, it's not the most optimal a way for us to evaluate livestock or small stock or rabbits or whatever it is that we're evaluating. exciting, but it certainly provides a mechanism for us to be able to do that. And so I think it's a really exciting opportunity rather than us not being able to show, obviously. A couple of the other highlights in the system that you'll see is whenever the judge comes in, obviously the class name will be here. We'll have the judge's information that this class is affiliated and is specifically set up for that judge. And we'll have a judge's training that all of the judges that have been selected will go through in order to test and practice using the system ahead of time. But you'll also see that there's no information here related to each and every entry other than the placing of that class and then a unique identifier number underneath that placing. That number is affiliated with that entry, but it is masked, and that information is only available to the virtual stock show team, my team here. And so this is a completely anonymous way for these rabbits to be shown, and there will be some parameters that state what you're allowed to have in the background whenever you shoot these videos, so we can try to keep it as anonymous as possible and just to keep the integrity of the show moving forward. And I know that Alan and Kevin and the team there at Marks, that's been very, very important to them, and they have built in the ability for us to put those parameters in place and to ensure that the show is as fair as possible. So
yeah, we have
done, then the judge would go in and they would actually certify their placings, and then they won't be able to make those changes to those placings after that. So and we have a dedicated team that's working with them throughout the entire show process there. So
yeah, we have also, if you guys want to talk about it, our explainer video, which is a how-to that tells someone that may not have had any experience doing a video entry of their animal, first of all, how easy it is, but also to introduce them to the standards and guidelines so that it makes it fair.
Yeah, Jeff, do you have that how-to video?
Yeah, let me see if I have it here available. Give me just a moment. I apologize.
Sure. I'll talk about it for a second. Back when we joined the Marks crew, one thing that we went in there with was, hey, you know, we got to prove to everyone that there is like the standard way that Kevin just described to enter your rabbit, so that you don't have a rabbit coming up looking one way and turned a certain way and another way where you only see the top of it, or one video is 7 minutes long, 1 minute is 1 minute long. So we came up with a basic how-to video on how to enter your rabbit. So for those that are not maybe familiar with using video on their phone, which by the way is super easy, this will go through a step-by-step way of doing it. So
let's watch it. He's got it queued up.
The first step in taking your video entry is to choose a location with a neutral background, such as a whiteboard. Remove visible clutter from the area and consider having a friend help with the camera while you do the motions. Place your entry card in a visible location. You may print your card or use a mobile device with the same digital image. Next, pose your rabbit according to its breed standard. The initial pose should be a profile view with the right side of the animal in view of the camera. For running breeds, allow the rabbit to move naturally on the table for 5 to 10 seconds. Flip the rabbit over to show teeth alignment. And then show the sex. After this, pose your rabbit to demonstrate a front-end view, including a closer look at the head and ears in breeds which emphasize these aspects. For breeds that don't emphasize head and ear, consider other aspects which those breeds do, such as meat type in commercial breeds and markings in marked breeds. After that, move your camera to include a rear view. Conclude with a view from over the top of the rabbit to exhibit the taper of the sidelines. Finally, run your hands over the rabbit's coat from hindquarter to shoulders. Smooth the coat and take a final profile view of the rabbit with the right ear facing the camera. Ensure this last clip is 5 to 8 seconds to offer a final overview of your rabbit.
And one of the things that we didn't talk about was that we will be working with the Marks team and obviously ShowPro and creating a virtual entry card. And Alan, do you want to talk a little bit about what this entry card is and why that's important?
Right. So Jeff, like you explained, when the class is up where the judge is able to go through and look at them, they're given a unique ID that's generated by the system. Okay, that's not an ear number and that's not a tattoo like we're familiar with at a judging table. So this is, again, one more added kind of anonymous method keep the show really clean and keep ethics strong. So with that said, these entry cards, these are going to be printed like this. They're just like they say, the show name, entry card on it. They don't have an ID on them, but this card is going to be used and printed by every exhibitor before they shoot their video. And what it basically does is it ensures that people are not recycling videos from maybe rabbits that have not been with us for some years. So this card is proof that the rabbits being judged are in fact, of present day. So these cards will be accessible through ShowPro after the entries close and sometime closer to the judging day, I believe. Maybe Kevin can elaborate on the timeline of that. But those cards are going to sit in the video for each entry, and that's to ensure that these videos are fresh and that these rabbits are current.
Yeah, I think the overall standard, which is reflected in the catalog and in the explainer video, will get as much uniformity as possible. And so the entries, so the judges will have that uniformity when they're evaluating a class, that there's as much a sense of fairness as possible. And of course, we're helping to reach all of those corners of the US that maybe someone has wanted to go to a convention for years and hasn't been able to. Maybe they're in one of the hemorrhagic disease regions. Maybe it's they're on lockdown from COVID. Who knows? It's 2020, but I think we're going to have a lot of fun with this system.
And to elaborate on that, Kevin, it doesn't matter if you're in the U.S. This is the first time that the world is going to be able to get together in a platform like this to compete. So, I mean, Ruth Ann, she and I have traveled to Asia together. We know the power and the energy that comes out of Southeast Asia and, of course, Japan as well. So this is the first time that we're going to really get on a big national scale, international scale, and invite friends from all over the world to compete. And it doesn't matter if you're ARB or not. I mean, we can have exhibitors from Europe as well take part. So this is going to be a very exciting event, especially for anyone that's been involved in the international front with rabbits and cavies. So cool.
We will also. We plan, I'm sorry, I'll let you go, Michelle. We also plan to produce a results book so that everybody can have that traditional book where they get to evaluate how everyone did and size up the classes and so on.
And a cool thing that we're working on the results book is for the first time it'll actually have the youth contest results, because with the timing we can actually get those items in there as well. So it'll be a book for not only those who are exhibiting the animals, but you'll also be able to see the youth contest winners as well. But we do have some questions that came in on Facebook while we were talking. So I think we addressed a couple of them, but since they asked, I thought maybe we can go over them again. We have one here, would like to know about the running breeds. And I mean, you talk about it quickly in your video, but maybe Alan, can you talk a little bit about, evaluating the running breeds using this platform?
Right, and every breed has their own little difference about them, and that's what makes them so special. Running breeds certainly have their uniqueness in that they're judged in motion, so it's a little bit maybe more challenging. But our team came up with the fact that if the video steps back for a second and watches that rabbit in motion, there's a lot you can see in just a few seconds as the rabbit moves naturally on the table. So certainly running breeds can be evaluated, and I touched that a little bit in the video, but having the camera step back, let the rabbit move, maybe get a rear shot of the rabbit as it tracks down the table like a breed like a checkered, Peter knows very well. I think they're definitely capable of being evaluated as fairly as any of the other breeds. And we haven't talked about this, but I think that it's possible for us to make some more how-to videos that pertain to certain breeds that have, differences about them, such as running breeds, such as wool breeds, such as fur breeds, such as high headset breeds. So I think that our team is well open to making some videos that tailor more towards the uniquenesses of each breed to help the exhibitors come up with a video that's as accurate and neutral as possible.
The benefit of being able to do a video entry, particularly with a running breed where you're trying to show a certain look, have the markings displayed just right, is that if you don't like it, you can do it again. And you can't do that at a live show.
Exactly. Good point.
All right. We have another one here, but, it talks about, will the rabbits be judged under an exhibitor number? How do you prevent the judge from knowing whose rabbit it is prior to placings? I mean, we did talk about that a little bit, but, again, if you guys want to talk about how, there's really a lot of things that we're doing to try to make this as anonymous as possible.
Yeah,
I could make the argument that this is actually more anonymous than being at a judging table with exhibitors and their hands over judging coops. I mean, there are no people in these videos. I certainly don't know what people's rabbitries look like, except for a handful of them. So these backgrounds, which we're going to stress, are neutral. Whiteboard, a fence of some sort, some kind of contrast that doesn't have, John's rabbitry in it and all of their wins for the last 20 years. That's not allowed. So this really comes close to as anonymous as possible on the terms of judging a rabbit and cavy show.
And the rules our show rules really do cover just how particular we want that background to be. Even being careful as to what is being shown in people's hands, even when they're handling the animals. So we are making sure that we make this as even a playing field as possible.
On the placement screen, there's no mention of the exhibitor's name, and it's quite anonymous.
And the other thing is with the video that we shot, that how-to video, if you notice, the rabbits are posed with their right ear facing the camera. Some breeds, like a Netherland dwarf, that has a big, or like a Flemish has a big wide ear opening where you could essentially read the tattoo of a left ear, for example. If we stress that the rabbits are posed with their right ear facing the camera, we never even see the tattoos. So it's as anonymous as can come in a situation like this, or even more so than just judging.
Okay. We have another one about COD animal categories, or will there be a specific COD breed in the list? Kevin, I know people have entered COD exhibition animals through your system before, so will it be similar to how people have done it for conventions?
Yeah, there is something called the exhibition only show. So that's normally where non-recognized breeds would be entered. And we have all of the COD breeds, and there's some other breeds that don't even yet have a COD that are about. And so all of those, as we do every year, can be entered.
Okay. All right. And here's one. How much are entry fees?
So our entry fees are going to be $10. That's going to cover everything that goes into running the show, from the cost that is incurred from the show pro team and our awards. So $10 is going to be is what we've budgeted for the entry fee.
All right. And will there be art competitions like photography and fine art?
Yes, they are. So make sure you get a hold of the catalog, whether it be virtually or the hard copy version. All of that stuff is listed in the catalog. All right.
Let's see. Okay, I appreciate checking the teeth and sex during the video. And there's a couple about, this is the only one on nails, but a couple people are wondering about overweight and underweight animals.
So I can cover that. We really could spend 30 minutes on each video and go through every fine detail, and we did try. When I first sat down to make one of these how-to videos, if I went through every single nail, I mean, my gosh, and checking in the eyes, checking in armpits for white spots. I mean, there's numerous things that we could check for, and some things we just had to go, you know what, we're not going to do it. So something like weight, eye spots, we have to go with the kind of the honor system that those rabbits are going to be fine, but those are pretty much nullified. But sex and teeth we thought were basic enough, easy enough. The rabbits already flipped over to examine those, so that's what we're going to roll with.
Okay. They say about, yes, a digital catalog is $10. There was a lot of work that went into producing this. The hard copies are $20, and of course there's the shipping as well. It's not just downloading a PDF. When you purchase our digital catalog, it has some really interesting features to flip through pages. So yes, those are the prices, and they can be found on our website. And here's one. I know this has been something that's been talked about. Will rabbits be eligible for legs given that it's virtual?
No, this is not an ARBA sanctioned show. It is not the ARBA convention. Instead, it is a national exhibition. So animals will not be eligible, and that is per the ARBA board.
Okay. I think I'm just looking to make sure. I think we got everybody's questions that submitted something. So thank you guys for logging on. We're going to be doing a lot more videos and different things leading up to our event. Please, if you haven't, get a copy of the catalog. Check out our website, and thank you to the Show Pro and team here, along with Jeff. We really appreciate all the hard work that you guys put in to making this, a really, really great event for our fellow rabbit hobbyists.
Oh, and I forgot one thing. When people enter their animal, they'll also be able to list if they want to have that animal for sale. And so, and there's a buy it now option. And so, anyways, that maybe Jeff can talk more about it, but that's also an aspect of entering a show.
Yeah, and we're working on some of that currently, but we will have that option available. And maybe at some point we can work with your team there at Marks, and we can get that showcased on Facebook as well and show how that's going to work. I think that'd be great. So we've been working really closely with Kevin and Alan to put that together, and we have some really exciting stuff that we're going to be launching that's going to assist with that, and hopefully help all of you across the United States to be able to market those animals during this time. So.
It's a great time for people to get exposure of their rabbitries and their rabbits, and most of all, have fun.
Yes, it will be fun. So thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you. A lot of the comments here were questions, but there was also a lot of positivity and thank yous and people that are excited. And it really means a lot to all of us who've been working on this to see all of that, positive energy and excitement for what we've put together.
One other
thing
I was going to tell you guys too, which I think is kudos to the Marks team. We have been working with county fairs, state fairs, and national shows across the country with our virtual platform. And just recently, we've had more and more fairs. We discussed during one of our webinars that we were going to do a national rabbit show. And it's really interesting how many of those fairs came back to us and said, we didn't even think we could do small stalker rabbit shows. And so now I think that that's going to be open up a whole another level of shows for all of our youth exhibitors across the country, and even at some of those national shows, which I think is really, really cool. So kudos to you guys for that. That it has really opened up something that I think is going to be beneficial to our kids across the country, because you guys are really the first show that's going to use our platform to do a real nationwide rabbit show. And I think there's a lot of people that are watching and want to see how this is going to work and be able to offer that to our youth. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you. And thank you to everybody who's joined us this evening.